Hello everyone. This video is about what causes disc derangement disorders. If you have not watched my video on what the disc derangement disorders are, please go ahead and watch that video and understand what are the different range of disc derangement disorders. That is, what is a disc displacement with reduction and what is a disc dislocation without reduction. And then come back to this video. So you know that a disc derangement disorder is characterized by positioning of the disc away from its normal position over the condyle. Now, let us first understand what keeps the disc over its normal position over the condyle against the articular eminence. Is it the ligaments that keep the disc over its normal position? Is it the superior retrodiscal lamina, that is the only elastic tissue that attaches to the disc posteriorly, keeping the disc over its normal place over the condyle? Or is it the superior lateral pterygoid muscle, which is responsible for keeping the disc over its normal position over the condyle? What keeps the disc over its normal position over the condyle? It is the disc anatomy itself that keeps the disc over its correct position over the condyle. The disc has a self-positioning feature. Its hourglass shaped structure is designed to be positioned between the articular fossa and the condylar head. The second factor that keeps the disc over its normal position over the condyle is a correct intra-articular pressure. So if the disc anatomy is intact or the intra-articular pressure is intact, the disc will be in its normal position inside the articular fossa against the condyle and the articular eminence. This understanding directly gets us the answer of what causes a disc derangement disorder. Any change in the anatomy of the disc or any change in the intra-articular pressure leads to a disc derangement disorder. Now, what can change intra-articular pressure? All of us know that parafunction, specifically clenching, can cause an increase in intra-articular pressure. Bruxism also increases intra-articular pressure. Any increase in intra-articular pressure squeezes the disc and starts changing its anatomy. Any macrotrauma that pushes the condyle into the disc causes a change in the discal anatomy. It can thin down the disc and predispose it to disc derangement disorders. Distalization of condyle, as in some class 2 div 2 patients, wherein the lower anteriors come and hit the upper anteriors before the patient clenches or masticates on food. In those cases, there will be a gradual thinning down of the disc, predisposing this patient to disc derangement disorder. That does not mean that every class 2 div 2 patient will be a temporomandibular disorder patient. It is only in those patients where there is an anterior hit and a posterior slide, there will be chances of development of disc derangement disorders due to gradual thinning down of the disc. A centric relation to maximum intercuspation discrepancy, whether a natural CRMIP discrepancy, which is more than 2 to 4 mm, or an iatrogenic CRMIP discrepancy created after placement of a high restoration or after a faulty orthodontic treatment, may predispose a patient to intracapsular disorders only in presence of parafunction. So if the patient has a CRMIP discrepancy, natural or iatrogenic, more than 2 to 4 mm, with parafunction coexisting, that is, with clenching or bruxing, then these patients, due to muscle hyperactivity, may thin down the disc gradually and predispose this patient to disc derangement disorders. Now let us know why a change in disc anatomy leads to a disc derangement disorders. What happens when the disc is thinned down? The disc has an hourglass shaped structure with the posterior thick band occupying the space between the condylar head and the articular fossa. Due to a good intra-articular pressure, this posterior thick band is maintained in this position and is not allowed to slip out between the space of the articular eminence and the condylar head. There is a constant anteromedial pull on the disc by the superior lateral pterygoid muscle. But since the intra-articular pressure is adequate to keep the condyle interposed, such that it holds the posterior thick band in the space above it, so the disc cannot slip. But as soon as the disc thins down, this constant anteromedial pull by the superior lateral pterygoid muscle can pull the disc a little outside its normal position. And this is how the disc derangement disorders start. By the same mechanism, if there is a sudden lengthening of the ligaments, for example, due to a blow to one side of the face, that can lengthen the ligament on the other side, due to blow over the chin, that can lengthen the ligaments attached between the disc and the condyle, due to a long dental appointment with a wide opening mouth procedure where the dentist inadvertently lengthens the ligament, the capsular ligament in particular. When these ligaments get lengthened, the disc becomes more free to move. And due to the constant anteromedial pull of the superior lateral pterygoid muscle, now this disc can be pulled a little more outside its normal position because of the relative laxity of the ligaments that attach it to the condyle and to the other bony structures. So anything that changes the disc anatomy, anything that increases the intra-articular pressure, and anything that lengthens the ligaments of the temporomandibular joint can predispose a patient to disc derangement disorders. Key takeaway of this video: whenever you come across a disc derangement disorder, try to think about what must have caused this disorder. The cause will be found in either the history of this patient or during the examination of this patient. Think about whether it was the macro trauma that is responsible for the disc derangement disorder in this patient, which will be reported in the patient's history. Was it a long dental appointment that involved a wide opening mouth procedure that lengthened the ligament and allowed the disc to move a little more freely and then thin out and come out of its normal position and start the disc derangement disorder? Is it the class 2 div 2 occlusion of this patient, wherein the patient is having a hit anteriorly and a slide posteriorly, causing the disc derangement disorder in this patient? Is it the increase in intra-articular pressure that is responsible for causing thinning down of the disc gradually in this patient and causing the disc derangement disorder? Or is it an iatrogenic CRMIP discrepancy more than 4 mm or a natural CRMIP discrepancy coupled with parafunction that is causing the disc derangement disorder in this patient? A knowledge of the cause of disc derangement disorders will lead you to the cause of the disorder in your patients. It is extremely important to understand what caused the disorder to correct it completely. The second takeaway of this video is the understanding that a wide opening mouth procedure may lengthen the ligament and predispose our patients to disc derangement disorders. So whenever you are doing your third molar extractions, beware about opening the patient's mouth only as much as is required. Third is an understanding that your ill-fitting restorations that are usually felt high by the patient, your faulty full mouth reconstructions, where you do not take care to merge the maximum intercuspation with the centric relation of the patients, may predispose your patients to disc derangement disorders. Hope this video helps. For more such informational videos, stay connected.